one of the great things about Excel is we can look at our data and say, what if, and get it to calculate other information for us. So if you're exploring, for example, notice I have a sales spreadsheet here, and we have the sales amounts and the commission and the percentage of commission and then the commission they earn. What if you were considering raising commission percentages? You could do an analysis that would tell you what it's going to cost your company just by going in and using the what if options.
Well, my sales reps would really love that idea.
Oh, I'm sure they would. I've been in sales before, and an increase in commission is always a good thing to salespeople. Now, the first thing we want to do is just go on and click up there in the commission percentage column just so we're in that spreadsheet and Excel knows where we're working from.
Okay.
This is part of our data tools. So which ribbon did we find data tools in before?
That is under data.
Right, so click on the data tab, and of course a large section of the data tab has a data tools section, and over to the right is the what if analysis.
Okay.
So if you click on that one, we're going to be using Scenario Manager. We're going to put in some scenarios. What if we raise commission 5%? What if we raise commission 10%?
Okay.
All right,
Let's
so
do
let's
it.
choose that. Now the first thing you have to do is create the scenarios, and notice that you have just a few things available to you. The add button is highlighted, which it's just giving you a clue. Okay, we don't have anything, choose add to add a scenario. So let's click add.
So it tells us where to start.
It tells you where to start. And let's give the scenario a name. One of the things you want to do, because when you run these scenarios on your spreadsheet, it will change the data. So always save a scenario of your original data. So let's just call this original.
Okay.
And then it wants to know which cells we want to change in our scenario. Obviously E2 is one of the cells. We want to change E2 through E7.
So let me just select all of these and then come back.
Great. And then a comment, it might just be something to keep you aware of what this means if you come back and look at it later. So maybe original commission percentages or something along those lines. And then we will click OK. Now this is where you would put in the changing values, and since this is our original values, we're just going to click OK.
Okay. Got
We
it.
come back here, you'll notice it's there. It's showing up in the scenarios. So let's add a new scenario.
All right.
Let's do a 5% increase. Okay, and down under comment you can just say exploring 5% commission increase or something along those lines. Okay,
All right.
and click OK. And now you need to go in and update the data.
Okay.
So it gives you the amounts in each cell,
All right.
and you can just type in and then tab to each one of them. Now that was 0.05 before, and we're doing a 5% increase.
Oh, well, I thought that we were just going to bump that up, huh?
We'll do that on the next one.
All right. So 0.10. Point 0.15.
Let me show you something right here. Notice you just tabbed again. I'm going to come back over here just so you can see. If I scroll up, when we came in, we see cells E2 through E6 there. Tabbing to move through those entry cells is useful to you because you may think right now you're on the last cell. But we know that we chose the range E2 through E7, so tab, and it takes you down to the last one. So tabbing between those entry cells, make sure you don't miss one.
Okay.
All right? So we've got everything. Let's click OK. And you'll notice we have the original and we have the 5% increase.
Oh, okay.
And just for fun, we'll do another one in a moment, but just click on Show down there. And you'll see the commission's changed. And I think our total commission was somewhere around 14 something. Let's go back to the original and show it.
Yeah,
And
14.
there you go. Now why don't you do one that's 10%?
Okay.
You
so
talk me through it.
I start this with clicking on Add, and we're going to do a 10% increase this time. So I'm going to name it 10% increase. My cells are already highlighted, so I don't
Right.
have to do those, but I do need to make a comment on what this is all about. So I'm going to do a okay. and then come down and click on OK. So now here is where I have my different cells and what they currently contain, and then I will go in and make changes to that.
Right.
So this will be 15%. Keep me straight on this one.
Okay.
This will be 25
Mm-hmm.
and 20. And like you said, it looks like we're finished, but if I hit Tab, it comes down to E7, and I can make that 20%. And when I hit Tab, it comes down and highlights OK. So I think I'm
Correct.
finished.
You are. Good.
Then I'll click on OK, and now I have 10% increase.
Right. And of course, you know you can use the show button and switch between those if you like. And you can see, okay, now we're up 26,000
Wow,
in
that's
commission
almost
versus like 14,000. One of the things that we can also do is a summary report of this. So over on the right, you will see a button that says Summary. And if you click on that, we're going to do a scenario summary. Notice there is a pivot table option. We talked about pivot tables in a module a little while ago, so you know about those. So let's look at the scenario summary. Now, results cells, it wants to know what totals, and what we're looking at is the commission. That's what changes. That's
Sure.
where the result of our what if occurs. So that's why we want those cells. And now if you click OK.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Now what all did it do for you here?
Well, it looks like I went to another tab, and on that other tab, I have a table that shows me what the changing cells are,
Right.
and what those percentages and amounts are.
Right. So you can compare the original to the 5% to the 10% on each one of these.
That's great, so that we can see them side by side. This would be great to use for our managers meeting.
Okay. So if you wanted to go back to your original data, where would you go?
Well, it created another tab with scenario summary. So in order to get back to my January tab, I would just click once on it, and there's my data.
There it is.